Hi, welcome to Freemotion Fridays with Kate Quinn. So I have been gone for several weeks, so I know that we may not have very many people sign in, but I'm going to go ahead and do it so that we can put this out there, and if people want to work on it, they'll have access to this video on the Fabricated Quilts site. So this is called the Kit and Caboodle project, and this is an integration of Freemotion and Rulerwork. For people's information, the thread that I'm working with today is Kimono Silk by Superior, and it is 100 weight silk. It's a very fine thread. Let's see if I can pull it up a little bit. Right there. So very, very fine, very lightweight. Great for being able to do a lot of that kind of detail work that we want to do. And in the bobbin, I've got a pre-wound, and that is 80 weight deco bob. And I do generally have a lot of pre-wounds. Some people don't like them. You know, I do like to be able to use the color that I want, but a lot of times I'm using something like this. I have quite a few of them in different colors, and they're just really, really convenient. And because they're so well wound, you know, precisely, you get really good tension with that. So love it. Hi from chilly South Louisiana, Linda Richards. It was freezing in New Jersey, where I just got back from, and actually much more pleasant here. It's like 45, 49, so today is going to be a beautiful, clear day in New Mexico and not too chilly. So stay warm and stay safe. No driving if you don't need to, if the weather is really crap. So I know a lot of places are getting snow, and Washington is getting rain and flooding, freezing rain, so just be aware, be safe. I don't want anything to happen to you guys. Okay, so we talked about the thread. The needle that I'm using is an 80 weight top stitch needle. So let me just pull one out. There's lots of different ones that you can use, but lots of different brands. This is the Superior brand. You're basically looking for this kind of information. This is titanium, means it'll last a little longer, so you can use it quite a bit longer before changing. Again, this is Inspira, the top stitch type of needle. With the 80 weight, with the one that I'm using right now, you may want to go down to a size 80 when you're working, because this thread is so fine. I think 80 is a sufficient hole so that you can stitch beautifully, but then it also is going to just give you a little bit better. A smaller hole around the thread is going to have a better look to it. Now, the hole can't be so tiny that the thread can't go through it. That's the big key. That's why we have different sizes. But for this very fine threads, both the top and the bottom, you can use an 80 weight. So top stitch or quilting needle, both of those should work just fine for this type of project. I do have my ruler foot on. I like it. I like to use it for Freemotion almost exclusively. I rarely take it off, but you can. There's no reason for you to use, you know, whatever foot that you feel is effective. The reason that I like this shape is I know that the needle is 1/4 inch. So in terms of visual estimation, I can really accurately plan for where I want the needle to go, or if I want to space it, I know what the distance is here, and then I can even estimate half. And that distance is consistent no matter where the needle is. So that is a reason why I like that. But regular Freemotion feet are totally fine. Whatever you want to do, you go ahead. So we only have a few areas that we're going to work on today, and it's going to be kind of this border right here, and we're going to put a little fill in here, and then maybe this one, kind of depending on how much time that takes. So we'll just start working on it. I'm going to draw out the plan for this section right here. And remember that this is mixing rulers and Freemotion. So part of the whole plan for this Kit and Caboodle is a little bit of a combined process. Right here where this is tallest essentially is the middle. So I'm just going to draft a little line. I want you to kind of see what my thought process was. So now I have these two spaces, and I didn't feel like I could make a pretty circle just by splitting that in half, because it's really rectangular, so that doesn't lend well to a circle. So I decided that I would split it into thirds like that. And we'll do the same on this side. Now, do you have to mark this? No, you don't have to mark anything. You can do it without it if you want to. But since this is a class that's teaching you, I feel like we need as many helpful tips as we can. What I'm giving myself here is visual spatial relationship. So right through the center here, this is about the same. So if this is a circle right here, this can make a circle that is approximately the same size in terms of this being the bottom and that being the top. So approximately the same size. Now I could just do the little circles like that right through the center, and I could leave everything else if I want to. If you want a little bit more, when you do your circle, you're going to do your circle, and you can figure 8, and we'll call this like the jelly bean or the coffee bean. Once you make this shape, then you can put your little circle in, and you're right in the middle. And then make another jelly bean, and make the little circle, and you're right in the middle. And the boundary of this is this edge right here, this shape. So jelly bean, little circle, and I didn't feel like the jelly bean kind of could fit there, so we just put the little circle. So this is the shape that we're going to go for. Now that we know what the fill is, let's talk about the plan of how we're going to fill it and how we're going to travel. This is a lot of open space in here, and I could just fill this, but I like to have a gap of some kind that if this is filled in, I don't want to have this all filled in right up to the same line. So I'm going to create a little separation with my tools. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a ruler on, and I'm going to stitch across like that. So there'll be a little frame right here. And then I'll travel right down to the center, and I'll sew this, and it'll end up back here on this side. And I can travel up a slight bit, and then I will go this way. Okay? And that will finish out this. Then if I'm here, how do I get over to the next one? I'm actually just going to sneak up like that. And then once the foot is touching, I'm going to put this as a foot marker, right? The foot will touch this line right here, just like it will over here when we start. And I'll put the echo in again. And I'll do the fill. And then I'll travel. And that's going to get me going forwards. So this is a path that is going to allow us to complete the whole design continuously. It's going to give me the frame that I want, and it's going to give me the fill that I want. This is kind of busy for you to see, so I'll go ahead and do it, and then I won't have anything except maybe just some easy visual lines right here for the next one. In fact, we'll put that in just to give you that kind of vaguely split it, and it's okay if it's not perfect. I don't care. I'm just vaguely splitting it. So this is helping me to define my circle. Once you've done this a bunch of times, then you probably won't need the markings anymore. Then you can just maybe make a dot, or whatever. You don't need all of the lines, but you have to think about how you're spacing it before you get going. So reminder that we're going to start in this, and we'll sew, and then we'll come back on the fill, and we'll go that way. So in order to determine what I had that could fit, this is a 3-inch clamshell. This was actually sewn right here with this, a 1/4 inch away like that. It's a perfect fit. If I push it up, it's kind of a fit, but not exactly. It's not perfect. So you'd have to kind of sew up to the middle and then readjust this to get to the other side. Another option would be to take a little bit of a larger, this is the 4-inch arc, so it's a little bit bigger. If I lay it on the line, I can, again, use a little bit of an adjustment, get to the middle, and then just kind of shift that a little bit. So you have two. Within your sampler set, you're going to have both the clamshell and this one, and you can decide whichever one you think is best. The one that would actually echo right here would be the 3.5-inch circle. So if you actually have a 3.5-inch circle, it would be something that would sit on the outside, but you would be able to get a perfect echo. Let's see if I have that real quick. Let me grab it. And that's based on the diameter of circles and what pieces would fit. 3.5. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how you would put it on. I probably will use the other one just because it's faster. I don't know, maybe it won't be. The visual impact that you have on this is you're going to have this spaced at 1/4 inch. So if you needed your spacing gauge, that would give that to you pretty easily. You can line it up just like this on 2 sides, and that is perfectly going to echo this shape. And that's because that is just that much bigger that it will be 1/4 inch from the 3. So if you have a 3-inch circle and then you have a 3.5, you'll get 1/4 inch bigger on each side of your circle. And that's why this is the perfect fit. So, okay. So, and 4 could do it. It's just you have to, you know, move around a little bit. Let's see. I see a couple questions. So let me just check real quick. Questions. Yeah, so Di Warner, you asked, could the mini multi-arc work? And yes, that was the one that I was just holding up because it has multiple sizes. So these 2 arcs, this is the same, right? The dimension of the 4-inch arc and a 4-inch clamshell is the same. The only difference is that this one is coming down further, so you can get a longer line if you need it. Okay, so yes, definitely could use this, but as I said, the 4 is not perfect. The perfect size is 3.5. So with the 3 or the 4, you'd still have to manipulate it just a little bit, whereas if you have this 3.5, you're not going to have to. You could just put the spacing gauge on there and you get a perfect fit. Okay. Full screen. Okay, let's see. Okay, yes. So Sue said, can I demo both of them? I will. I don't recommend you try either one. I mean, I would test it with one and use one, because what will happen is one is going to look a certain way and the other one is more fudging. So whichever you choose, just keep it the same. Don't use 2 different ones in the same process. That way you'll get a more consistent look. But I'll do both for you guys because I can. Let's see. So if you're freezing, hopefully, I'm not seeing any lag on my side, so if you need to come back and look at it later, you'll be able to do that, okay? All right, let's go ahead and we'll get started on, I'm going to use this one first since it's already in place. And again, I use this to measure it, and I've actually got the key out because I don't need all of it, I just need a small piece, and that way I can easily maneuver around without having to worry about having it stuck. So I'm going to be in the stitch line right here. I'm going to pick up my needle right in the curve there because that's where I want it. And my foot is a 1/2-inch circle, so the foot should be fitting perfectly right in that space with the inside touching that existing curve. So I'll show you what I mean. Let's tack this in just a little bit in the existing curve so he's secure. And then I'm just going to tip this a little bit. The foot is fitting right in there, and we have already aligned it, so should give us a pretty good look. And we'll just come right along. See how it touched the whole way? So right into the existing curve. And now I'm just going to take a few free stitches right up until that space, right along that, so I can start the circle. Notice that the circle is kind of touching a little bit further away from this area, right? So let's just scoot this out of the way. We don't need that. It'll be in our way. Cut some threads. Okay. And again, if you have the opportunity, warm up before you start this, right? I do recommend that because I tend to like the first circle is kind of wonky. Now, remember what we said, do the jelly bean first. Kind of just follow the space, make the jelly bean. And then that becomes the limit for the inner circle. Okay. And then jelly bean. Don't worry about going fast, just, you know, nice and easy, controlled. There's your little circle. 1.5 times. Jelly bean. Oh, did I do the inner circle twice? I think I messed up. Oh well, it'll be fine. There's your circle, and then we're going to come out. And remember, we want it so that the foot is touching right there. Okay, so since we did this one with the 3-inch, we'll do it on both sides just so you can see the alignment. You're going to put that on, and you're just going to push this down until you can get this even spacing right there. Because the foot is already holding your space. If I'm up like 1 too many stitches, I'll just go back. I'll get it tidied up right there. Nobody will ever know. Okay. Right into my stitch line. Now, if you're not comfortable traveling right here, it's very often I would take this and I would just freehand up and come back down. But if you're not comfortable, guess what? You have a ruler that you can use really easily. This is the ruler that you made basically to create that shape. So you can just sew up to the top and then just come back down right there. This spacing right here is 1/4 inch because that's the same size as the ruler that you already used to stitch it, right? So you just sew down until your foot touches. So the foot's touching right there, and then you can put this one in. So this is the 3-inch. So we'll go ahead and use it. I'm going to show you how I line it up. I want to try to get at least up to the middle. So by shifting this just a little bit, I can at least get to the center up there at 1/4 inch. And I might have to manipulate just a little bit to get it. Now, notice that on this side, it's not quite fitting. So I just shift it over just a little bit like that and manipulate it and get right in. Okay. Once I'm there, then I can get right over to here, about right there, and then we'll start doing the circle. So I'm going to tip it so you can see it a little better. So I have very faint lines this time, so now I'm going to have to work a little bit harder to get my circles in there. Okay, then jelly bean, and the circle. And then jelly bean up. And then make that circle kind of fit in there round. And then I'm going to come back out over to here. Oh, wrong side. Wasn't following my line. So come up there. Nobody will see that. This thread's really fine. And then we'll just put in the other side. So you can see it does not look bad. It still looks very smooth. We're just manipulating a little bit to get that nice size. Okay, so right there to the top, basically to that center position, and then I can just shift this over slightly and get me the rest of the way, right into that stitch line. Okay, so here's the two of them so far. Let's see if we can get you in to see it a little tighter, because it is faint. Right, that's what you're going to get. And then we've got that little frame right here. And then, I don't know, I think I might do some straight lines. And I'm not going to do that today because straight lines pretty much ruler work for me. But what you can do is, I wouldn't want it to be right here because I think the diamond is its own little visual impact. So what I might do is make it so that it hits like that, and then maybe a center, and like that. So you'd have this many, and then you'd have a gap in between, because this would sort of be this one in the center, and this would be your other one. It should go right through your center line right there. And then center, split, center, split right there like that. So your spacing may change a little bit. We're trying to use sort of this intersection right here as the visual marker, and then just evenly splitting that. And the way I would do it is, if I'm sewing in and I've got this as the line, you're aligning your straight ruler 1/4 inch away from that space, wherever you want it. So this would be the space, then this would be 1/4 inch. So it would sew, and then you would travel and in to the middle, up, and then to the middle of that space, and then this would be a 1/4 inch apart, and then you would travel until you get to that other intersection. And that way you would have some straight line fill out here, which I think would really emphasize this curve. And if you wanted to fill these, you could also, or you could even alternate fills on that, whatever you wanted to do, or create your own pattern. Okay, should we do one more of this one, or what do you think? Did you get the idea? So I can free travel here if I want to. It's pretty easy. If you're working free motion, sometimes the little bit of travel like that, just that little space, is easier to do just freehand. And I encourage you to practice that and to work on that, because that is something that's going to make things easier for you. So here we're going to get a little bit of a longer line with the 4. This is the size 4. We'll come again to the center, okay? And then you can just pivot this a little bit to get it into that other side, just like that. Just trying to keep it nice and smooth. So again, those are not going to be as pretty of a curve as this, where you get everything all in one, but it's going to be fine. Nobody's going to notice, right? It's okay. So let's see if we can do it without any marking, because I struggle with the no marking part. So we'll do a little. The marking for me allows me to make it more even, because I struggle with the visual separation if I don't have any markings at all. There's my little circle, and then another jelly bean. So I'm trying to be conscious of how much space is left as I'm doing that. So I got to split this last one into 2 so that the spacing can be even. And here's the last little circle right there. And we want to come down to this bottom. So I'm stopping right there. Kind of to the center. Okay, and then I will just, actually we only have one more, so let's just do it. The other 2 are already done because I was testing them for you. Oh, went too far. Right there. Let's use our little circle again because I liked it. I felt like it was pretty. Right there, just stick it on there. Jelly bean. Ooh, that jelly bean is a little bit crooked. So we're gonna go ahead and straighten him out now. He's like leaning over a little far. So if you have trouble with that visually, you often can do it a little straighter if you do it this way, because then you're seeing the straight line that you're looking for. So we'll do a little correction here. You'll have to be a little wider on the bottom. There's your little circle, little jelly bean. Oh, that's better. I fixed them. And then here's your circle, so try to fill up that space right there as best you can. And then since we ended on the top, we'll go that way because we need to close that part right there. So again, you can use whatever you have. You can manipulate basically any curve you have, but the perfect fit for this is actually going to be this 3.5. And that's just because it's exactly that 1/4 inch bigger than the existing curve. So whatever you have, you can play with it. Since we went up on all the other ones, I'm going to just go ahead and keep it the same on this so that we have the same relationship, and then we'll just tack it right there. All right. Done. Let's cut that. Hi, Miss Betty. I just saw your notes. I'm glad you're here. You know, I was planning to be flying tomorrow, but because we were having a big snowstorm in New Jersey, I decided that I wasn't going to get snowed in, so I decided to move on. Let's see if we can give you a little. There. What do you think? Isn't that cute? Crazy and fun. You can see this one got a little, maybe that was the one that wasn't too straight and we had to fix them. All right, so let's play. Let's do another one. The circle, I love this design and it's really pretty, but I thought it'd be even better if we could put a little bit of additional detail in here. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'll just draw over the one that I've already done. So my plan is to come up this side and make like a little teardrop. And then we're just going to kind of echo these like that. Now, the key to making this work, and I'll show you this with one little line. This is the center right here of this arc. We're kind of trying to be in the middle. So the top of your little arc needs to sort of register at that center point. And that will help it to travel around this in a more natural fashion. So visually, your little arc right there is going to be sort of in the center. Okay? All right, so let's do that. And this is a nice, easy travel as well. One of the things I like about this is that you can travel nicely. So we'll just kind of sneak up, and there'll be enough stitching here in the middle. I'm right along the existing stitch line. Okay, so a little speed, and put a little bit of your wiggle in there. And then right here, top of your arc is right in the center. Travel a little bit, and top of your arc. And then travel a little bit and the top of your arc. And same thing, you're just traveling right in there. And that little center mark is kind of really helping to make sure that your arcs are going to stay nice and centered. So once I'm out on the outside and I can travel. I'm going to travel on this inner portion, not on that. And that will be something that I'm just going to try to be consistent about, because there's more stitching on this part that we've just done. And so it's normal that you would have more stitching in there. And that way we'll keep those other pieces a little bit more open and a little cleaner. Let's see if I can do it upside down. Dropping things. This way you'll get a little different view as we do it. Let's grab a little bit of that. So a little bit of a handhold right here, making it so that I can get a little hold on it. And I'm watching the thread and I'm right on the inside. I'm just trying to get that right down, and then back up your stitching and trying to put that top of this arc sort of right in the middle there. Because it's curving around, we can't just follow the C, because the C is actually twisting a little bit. Okay, so right here, and then just using my finger to pull. Right here, this finger is pulling, and this hand on the left is guiding so that I can get the needle right inside of that. Then I'm back to the center and ready to do the next one. And I'll just keep these threads out of our way. Now, if you have trouble and you want to have the same exact number of loops, you can make some little reference lines for yourself if you want to. You know, I think sometimes when we're first starting out, that can be a difficult thing. And if you really want that and that's important to you, then you can go ahead and make some markings. I think that as you get more comfortable, then it's easier to eliminate some kind of markings. But as you're working initially, you may just want to have them. That helps you develop the spatial relationships with your work that you want to. So this is filled, empty, fill, empty. This would be one of those things where it would be very easy to go ahead and mark so that you have the same number of evens and odds. But I already knew that this had 8 petals, so I knew that no matter what, if I just started with one, that I would get even relationship. But if you ever have something where you're not sure, then you might want to put those little dots in there so you can have a good relationship with your design. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull that out. I don't want to fill every single one of those, because if I did, then I'm not going to get the change in dimension. I'm not going to get something that is recessed and something that is taller. So that's why I don't want to fill every one of those. All right, let's see. Cut some threads. There's threads everywhere. They're just out of control. Okay, let's see if we can pull that up. And I think we cut the bottom, didn't we? No, darn it, missed it. All right, so let's flip it over so you can see the change in the texture on the back. Let me see if I can put some shadow on it. Oh, it's really, really zoomed in. Let's zoom out a little bit so we can have it not be so. There you go. So this way we can kind of make these kind of curve around, and then we get a little bit of extra detail right there in the center. And let's do one more thing on this one to fill that in. So, Bonnie, I think that you said that it's a thin thread, which makes it difficult to see when you're sewing, but you got to realize I'm like really close to it. I can actually see it really fine, especially something that you can do. Let me show you, see if I can get a little different lighting in here to show you. If I take my light, I'm going to adjust my light a little bit. If you work with a little bit of a shadow on your work, like that, see how you can get a lot more of the detail if you get it to cast a little bit of a shadow. You can play with your lighting, and you can always even reduce maybe the lighting here or something like that. You can play with your lighting. It's going to give you a little bit of a different shading. So that could be something that might make it easier for you if you're having trouble seeing. This is a pink thread. It's not white. So for me, I can actually see it. And I purposely did that in the shade so that it wasn't white, so that I could see it. But you could also do something even a little darker, like you could do a light blue, and that would definitely show. So it's really just about what works for you. You shouldn't feel like you're constrained to this color. I mean, you could do something like that, and that still is a pastel that is light, but is going to give maybe just a little bit more. So it's always about what works best for you. I do feel like a tone on tone hides better for sure. So if you're doing something that's closer to your base color, it's more forgiving and it's going to not show. If you make a mistake, then nobody's going to see it because it hides really well. And that's something that's important if you're doing a lot of traveling too. But, you know, feel free to play with that. You should try different things, and different colors are going to give you different looks. If I had this to be maybe like a light blue, you're going to get more like a colored in type of a look, right? So just choices for you to play with as you go. You shouldn't feel like you're constrained in any given way. Let's go ahead. I think the next one we were going to do is maybe this one. Now, I think this particular one can be really tricky for filling in because it's a square, right? But right here, I decided I'd leave this one open, and I'm going to take all of these right here. And so these will only touch at this intersection right out here. See how this is open right here? There won't be anything here or here. We can not always make this work with this particular type of design because these do intersect other pieces. But I feel like this one, I just wanted to play with it. So I'm treating it like a square. So this is the wonky inner square. And then this is the next square. So all these touch points on this next one are open right here because these will basically be their own square right there. And that meant that these four right here, that'll be the next square. So they'll all be filled in. And then these ones on the outside will be open. And I could reverse that. I mean, you could do it opposite. I could fill these and leave these open and then fill whatever. Your dot can mean whichever one you want it to. And this one I thought, it's a very small space, really difficult to put a big detail in there. So what I thought I would do is I'm going to do something called Scribble Quilting. And you could start basically anywhere. All of these three sections right here, they touch, but I want to kind of put a little bit of a linear detail. So like right here, if I just filled this in with micro quilting and then I filled this in, you're going to lose this part. So it's a little bit of a linear thing so that this will come down to the point and then this one will go a different direction. And what that's going to help us do is keep the triangles. So basically taking this line right here and following it just kind of tight like that and filling it in. That'll help to hold the shape of the rest of the design, but it's just really kind of a tight look, right? So go a little bit fast. I'm not really trying to make too much of a curvature. I'm just trying to come back up. And again, with this design, we want to get close to our stitch line. So a little bit of speed here is kind of good. I think that helps you just really anticipate about 2 or 3 stitches before you're turning so that you can plan to turn. So my hand was getting tired. I have to adjust my hand position. Okay, here we go. So when you adjust your hand position, try not to be at the top of your design because then you don't have time to turn. So sort of stop in the middle and we'll just kind of get this down and wiggle it as best we can. Scribble, scribble, scribble. Okay, I'm following it right to the end and now I can start going this way. So come all the way up. Can you tell I'm not as efficient on this direction? It's harder because I'm not as comfortable moving this way, but it's good practice. If I don't ever practice it, I'm never going to get good at it, so better do it. Okay, and then I'm right at this next one, and I want to make sure, you know, I'm right here at this part, but this is the part I want to fill. So this is where your dots become really valuable. Make sure you're following your dots. Now I'm back on my comfort zone. Front to back is so much easier. Fill it all the way, go all the way to the stitch line so you don't get that little gap in there. This part is really rhythmic, and if you can practice this and get good at this sort of back and forth fill, I think that's a really great way to say, yes, I can free motion. If I can control that, then basically I can learn how to control any other free motion element. Okay, so again, we're going to kind of be going this way, so I won't rotate it, I'll just leave it here. And my thumbs right here are kind of like my hands spread out. I can get a little pinch grip if I need more. If the quilt's heavy and I need it to come with me, I can grab a little bit more of it. And I'm trying to keep these lines parallel to this back end. So that's the visual marker that I'm using to help keep them straight in this triangle, because it's the bottom that they're aligned with. Because I tend to go slanty. Once it's not front to back, I start going a little crazy. Now, we have this part right here that is not filled. 1, 2, 3, 4. The quickest way to get to the inside is just to travel on this existing stitch line right here. And then I'm already right in this space right there. So I'm ready to fill this one right on that line. So sometimes we have lots of complicated fills, twisty, turny things. Straight line fills that are like this can be super effective because they do exactly what you want. They compress. They also have directionality. Because we made these go in different directions, it gives us that same rotation, and that's something that we want. So right here, we're kind of at the tip. I find it maybe a little more difficult to get my orientation when it's so narrow, so I'm just going to go a little bit slower, and then I'll kind of work my way out. Once I get a little bit more space, then I can more easily get those nice straight lines there. Okay. And then we'll just travel right back up, and we're right at the base of this next one. He's directionally, this one came down this way, and then we want to change directions. So let me show you. We want to make sure that we're filling it so it kind of goes around. So this one is this way, so I kind of want this one to go the other way so that we can at least show some change of direction from this one. So let me think for a second. This is where I told you it's tricky because it's not three-sided anymore. So this, I think, will end up going like this. Let's see what we get. Or if we did that, would that do it? I think that's going to be better. that's going to give us a change of direction from here and from there. So we're going to come down this way. This isn't long and skinny. It's a little bit more even, so we have to figure it out. We don't have the obvious visual impact. All the way to the stitch line as much as possible. All right, so let's see what we can do here. We have this center triangle. We could do something crazy if you want to. Let's do something crazy because we can. This is the center. So let's put a little curl in there, and then we'll travel around, and we'll do 3. We'll do like that, travel, and we'll do that. We don't want anything heavy in the center because we do want that to be open, but this is kind of a fun spot where we could put a little detail in, so we will. And then just travel up to the next corner. And we'll tack it off right there. Okay, let's see what we got. Right there. All right, you know, I always pray when I flip it over, I'm like, oh, please let it look good. Because you can't test it until you test it, right? But I kind of like it. Got some extra threads in there somehow. Let's pull those out. Somehow I have a thread that did not get pulled up, and I don't know how that happened, but is he actually attached? No, he's not attached to anything. He's just sewed in. So definitely keep those loosey-goosey threads out of your way. They should not be hanging around your work, but this got sewed in quite a few times. So he wasn't actually connected to anything, but he was just hanging out. So what do you think? Let's see if we can put some shade on there. I like it. I think it looks fun. And it definitely adds to that texture right there, giving us that little bit of the loft here. And, you know, if you wanted to, you could even come back in and echo this 1/4 inch away to emphasize these pieces a little bit more if you wanted to. And I like that little detail because it gives a little visual focal point that brings your eye right to the center there. Stitch on top of the curl. Betty, good question. So she just asked, I did stitch on top of it pretty much, but if you don't, nobody cares. Go ahead, stitch off of it or on it. It's fine either way. If it's off, it's like a ribbon, and if it's on, it's a tighter curl. That's basically it. I wasn't trying to be too accurate. I was just throwing that out there. So if you want it to be a specific way, maybe sew a little bit of slower as you're coming back around to tighten it up. But if you don't care, just wing out and whatever you get. So we were just trying to kind of center that little, you know, tri-circle motif in the center there. Okay, let's see where we're at. I think we had one more we were going to try to do today. No, that's it. That's all 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. That's enough. That's it. Is your brain full? So let me look real quick, see if we have any more questions really fast. Okay, so Marla was asking about size. So I'm going to give some size references for the pieces that we did. So this is the 2-inch circle from the sampler set, and it was centered in the space. And this is bigger because I like a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So this looks proportionately larger than this right here, but that's because I want room for a wider binding on it. So this technically should be, I think, a 5-inch square, but it's bigger. This is 5 1/4 right now. And ultimately, it's going to be 5 when it's sewn in, but I'm going to cut the wider binding in. That's why I have so much binding out here for that, because I needed extra. So about 5, I'm trying to think, this whole row right here, I believe is 5, okay? And then that's on both sides. And then this border, 3 inches, and it's the same. So let me do a little math here, right here. Okay, so Marla, this center block, which includes these triangle corners and this center motif, is a 12-inch space, okay? Then down on the bottom, this is 12, and this is 3 inches tall, right? From the bottom to the top of the triangle, this width is 3 inches, and this is matching the inner square at 12 inches right here. And this is the same on both sides. So you got this 3-inch by 12 and the 3-inch by 12 on this side as well. These are the same, okay? And then that means that if this is 12 and we have the 3 and 3, then this one is 18 by 3, okay? And it'll match up to the corners right here. And then this one, this is 4, and that was just because this, if you put this in 5, it's not going to space really well. So I have these 2 4-inch blocks on the corner. I'll kind of smush it in. This is 4 and this is 4. And then I put a 1-inch space, and then this is whatever was remaining. And what that allowed is, this was a 3-inch, base right here. I wanted to kind of create something that these could fit in. So this is your clamshell. It's just a little bit shorter than an even 3, because each one of these is 3 inches, okay? And then on the outside, this outside portion is the 5-inch with the seam allowance for the binding, okay? So I just split those, and I use this. This is centered, so right here, this is 5 centered on the middle of this portion right here. If this is the center line, this was 2.5 to here and 2.5. And then I had to put little spacers in order to make 5 fit. So this is 5, and the corners are 5, but this one is whatever was left, because I didn't need it to be exact. It's a little bit more rectangle, right? So let me take the camera, and I'll see if I can put it on the floor so you can just kind of see the whole thing. And I'll actually take a photo of it, and I put it on the video so you can see the detail. Oh, don't get dizzy, right? Let me see if we can get the whole thing in there, and we'll get a little shade on there. Okay, so the center with the 2 different triangle designs, the cross hatching and the little flourishes, are both just the corner triangles for the 12-inch block. So you're splitting that interior at 6 and 6, and then you're creating the frame on the inside. And then I have the doubled up circles that fit that space, because that is 2 inches. They fit perfectly in that 18-inch long space. And then on the right side, you've got sort of the egg and dart look, and that's what we worked on today. Then the 2 ones with the isosceles triangles, those units are the 3 by 12, okay? And then this part up on the top, that was a 4-inch tall for the last one right there. I know I can't give you the dimensions because I don't have them written out, and the reason I don't have them written out is this is a live class that I'm developing. So what's happening is I'm doing a lot of work that isn't paid. So I'm trying to gain a few more jobs, and in order to do that, I have to have original content that is not already seen, that not everybody has seen. So that's why this is not being made public at this point. So I'm hoping that I'll be traveling around and seeing some of you guys. And so I'm offering the picture for free, but I am not offering the pattern at this point. Maybe I will go ahead and develop it so that it can be purchased. I just don't have that available at this point. And a lot of these designs are from my imagination, but also some of them are takeoffs from things that I've seen in Janet Collins' book. You know, I've done her sampler. So this is kind of styled after the work that she did as a whole cloth. And it's just to see what could I do with these templates. And it's allowing me to have some kind of format where I can mix the Freemotion and the rulers, because that's something I think that we're not doing enough. I hear a lot of people say, oh, just rulers, I can't do Freemotion. But rulers can be a really good segue to be a better free motioner. And I want to have that for people. I want you to know that they work well together. I almost always have my straight edge and my multi-mini arc and a few circles handy just in case, so that I can make those parts of the design really smooth. So the ones we did today, we'll just kind of go on this side. So you can see it, the texture just a little bit better right there. And once these lines are all off, it's going to look better. But oh, love this. Thought that looks fantastic. You can see how the arcs change a little bit when we use the different ones. So whatever you do, I would just use the same. I think this one is the 4 that makes it that narrow because it was harder to pivot and make it even. Whereas when we use that 3.5 inch circle, see how it's perfectly even on both sides. It looks really good. But, you know, once this is all filled in, remember we're going to put some more straight lines. Nobody will see that. It'll all be fine, right? So then these were some of the ones we did before, right? Can you see it right there? And then this is the other triangle right there. And we're just going to keep trying to fill in a little bit more of those details so that we can get a lot of texture on this quilt as a final product, okay? And, you know, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you. Happy New Year. Hope you have a wonderful New Year. And I just pray for peace and wellness and community. And I'm right there with you. Everything you guys are going through with COVID, I'm going through it too. We've had a lot of, you know, sort of loss of connections with our community because we've stayed home a lot. But family relationships have been better because we've been working hard on them because we've been together, you know, with a more tighter group. But if you ever need anything and you just need to chat or you want to text me, you know, I'm willing to reach out. I know that this can be a difficult time for people and I want this year to be better. So if you need something, you know, you can throw something my way and I definitely will respond. Norma, I believe I will be having class on Sunday. I would be lying if I told you I know what I'm doing because I don't. But but I am planning to be on there. I may be doing something with Fun and Fancy because So Steady has made me Educator of the Month, I think, coming up. And they are promoting Fun and Fancy in this quarter. So I think that it would be fun to do something. So I am traveling a lot. I'll be starting to put events on my Fabricated Quilts website on my calendar. So if you go to www.fabricatedquilts.com, it is with K, like Kate, no C, and sign up for the newsletter. I'm hoping to get my newsletter out pretty soon because I do already have several bookings for the year. And I'm really excited, and you guys are the first people that I've told. I was picked up by Janome as a long arm educator ambassador for them. So hopefully I will be doing more work in that line of, in that arena, and also sharing, you know, ruler work for long arming and things like that. So pretty excited about that, and hopefully lots of good things are coming your way as well. I'd love to hear about them. Share them with me so I can be joyful for you. Okay, have a great day, you guys. I won't keep you hanging on any longer. Bye. Happy New Year.